What's up, everybody? My name is Brad and welcome back to the channel. Today we're here to talk about a book. Surprise, surprise. We're here for a book review specifically, and we're going to be talking about Into the Forest and All the Way Through by Cynthia Pelayo. This is put out by Burial Day Books, and for those that might not know, it was actually nominated and made the final ballot for the Bram Stoker Awards for Poetry Collection. Come here, let me tell you a secret. I hope it wins. Seriously, good luck to everyone who was nominated in the category, but I hope this one wins. Now, before you click off the video, before you run away because I said the P word, I know, poetry. Most people don't like poetry. They don't want to read poetry. They think it's about just these love ballads or these abstract concepts that don't make any sense. Whatever your preconceived notions are about what poetry is or what poetry can be, you're wrong. This book, if you are a fan of horror, if you are a fan of true crime, this will be a perfect gateway book into the world of poetry to expand your reading horizons, to get out of your comfort zone and try something new. If you've ever taken me up on one of my recommendations and agreed with me, please give this one a shot. Check it out for yourself. I don't think you'll be disappointed. If you are disappointed for some reason, come back and we will talk about it. Sound good? Good? Yeah? Fist bump? Blow it up? All right, let's get into the actual review and talk about this book here. So the quote at the beginning of the video, "You only live as long as the last person who remembers you." I don't know who said it. I don't know where that quote came from, but it kept popping up in my head. It really stuck with me while reading this collection of poems. As I said, this is true crime poetry, and it explores the cases of over 100 missing and murdered women from all across the United States. This book, it was really unlike anything else I had ever read before. Sure, I've read other true crime before. I've watched other true crime TV shows, but this one, it just felt different to me. This book was really unlike anything I've truly ever read before. And sure, yes, I've read other true crime books. I've watched true crime movies. I've seen true crime TV shows, but this one, it hit me different. It felt different than any other true crime stories I've experienced before. But this one, it felt different. It felt more real. It felt more tangible. Like in some way, I truly did know these women and these victims. There was this palpable sense of dread and forlornness staining the pages of this book. Usually when it comes to true crime, the focus is usually all on the suspects, the guilty, the perpetrators. Everyone knows their names. Everyone can recognize the faces of evil in those mugshots. But when it comes to the victims, those whose lives and hopes and dreams were greedily snatched away from them, we don't know their names. We can't pick their picture out of a lineup. Why is that? Why do we as a society have this fascination with these serial killers and these murderers that we put them up on this pedestal where they reach this celebrity type status, where there's books written about them and movies made about them and TV shows about them, and we have these A-list celebrities playing these horrible, despicable people? And I'm not judging anybody because I like true crime myself. I have this morbid fascination and curiosity with it. But why is that? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't we instead be focusing on the victims of these crimes instead of the guilty party? I can name off Bundy and Gacy and Rader and Gein and on and on and on, but I cannot give you one name, not one name of any one of their victims. It's a sad, sad truth. But what Pelayo is able to accomplish here, it's different. Her sole focus is to shine the spotlight on these women and victims who have been murdered and who have disappeared without a trace. This book, it felt like a tribute, a memorial to show reverence to these women and their families. Now, it feels a bit weird to say that I really love these poems based on what the subject matter is here. The writing was at times, it was just absolutely gorgeously beautiful, while at other times it was hauntingly chilling. I was left with this sense of hollowness while reading this book, this almost overwhelming sense of melancholy, maybe. I don't really know how to put my feelings into words about how I felt about this book while reading it, but it was definitely an experience that I don't think I've ever had with any other book. I don't think any other book has ever put me into sort of that state of mind or that type of physical feeling while reading a book. Whenever I would finish a poem and get to the end and read the woman's name and race and age and date when she went missing and so on, I would just sort of sit back and let it all sort of soak in. There's a certain weight, a heaviness, and gravity to Pelayo's words that really had me sit back at the end of each poem and truly think about and wonder about what happened to these women, to these mothers and daughters, sisters and wives, aunts and grandmothers. To think of all the lives that were shattered in an instant, that were irrevocably, can't say that word, that were irrevocably, changed forever. It is as if all of these women walked into this cloud of fog and vanished without a trace, never to be seen again. For me, the absolutely worst thing would be the not knowing. To wake up every day and wonder about if your loved one was still out there somewhere. Are they living in pain? Or is their body just waiting to be found in a field, in a chimney, in a roadside ditch somewhere? There is not one poem in this entire collection that did not resonate with me on some level, in some way, shape, or form. But I do want to highlight a few of my favorites. Honestly, I could go to the table of contents and just read you the entire table of contents for what my favorites would be, but I'm not going to do that. I do have a few picked out for some of my favorites from the collection. So they are Remember Me, Search Continues, Note from a Blog, You Have Always Watched Me, The Sun Rises in the Night, The Demons You Live With, Lady of the Lake, You Are Not Looking, I Am Right Here, Movement Through a Telescope, Abandoned Buildings, She Stands on the Grove, Blackberry Bushes, Shotgun Jane Doe, and lastly, U.S. Route 29. So a while back now, I reached out to Cynthia and asked for her permission to read one of the poems during the video review, and she was kind enough to say, yes, I could do that. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to read off a poem to you. This poem is titled The Sun Rises in the Night, and the reason I picked this one is because of the vivid imagery, especially at the end of the poem. It really stuck with me. So again, this is The Sun Rises in the Night. She left work at the time many awake. As the sun rises and light enters, she was dropped off at a corner by a coworker, and a month later, her abandoned car was found parked outside of an adult bookstore, lights empty and silent. A day before she was last seen, she told her mother she might be pregnant, that her husband would be displeased. A small son was all they had and all he wanted and nothing more. Everything was left behind, including that son. His own father abandoned him just 2 years later, fleeing the country, deserting the memory of a wife who worked when all of us were sleeping, and who disintegrated into the glorious golden morning rays when all of our eyes opened. This woman's name was Lisa Diane Jamison. She went missing from Chandler, Arizona. She was black. She disappeared at the age of 23 and has been missing since 1991. And the investigating police agency is the Gilbert Police Department, 408-508-6500. Emotionally powerful and somber, Into the Forest and All the Way Through by Cynthia Pelayo gives a voice to the voiceless, tending to the flame of that candlelight vigil, making sure that the names of these women do not fade away with time, that their memory can live on inside the minds of the readers and not just become another statistic, another one of the forgotten. You will feel these poems in your bones and in your soul, pulling you along into the forest and all the way through to the other side where maybe somewhere, someday, justice can be served. This is a collection of poems that will stick with me for a very, very long time after having read them. If you can't tell already, this is a solid 5-star review for me. I can't recommend it highly enough. This is probably my second favorite poetry collection I've ever read. I haven't read too many, but this one, it's near the top of the list. So to circle back around to the quote from the beginning, you only live as long as the last person who remembers you. I'm going to remember the name of Lisa Diane Jamison, and I hope you do as well. That's all I have for you guys today. This has been, again, my 5-star review of Into the Forest and All the Way Through by Cynthia Pelayo from Burial Day Books. Again, 5 stars. So thank you all for spending your time with me. Thanks to Cynthia again for allowing me to read one of her poems. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.